Language is pretty fundamental to who we are, and there are obviously differences between languages, but it turns out there are some similarities between wildly different languages. And I'm here at the Department of Linguistics at MIT to talk to David Pesetsky about what those similarities are. So languages are obviously very different. I can't understand somebody speaking Russian.
That's right.
But you look at how they're the same, right?
Well, the words are different, right? But the laws that make up the words and the laws that combine the words into sentences that we use to express thoughts, many of them turn out to be the same across languages.
If I said hello to you in English and you answered in Russian,
It wouldn't work.
I wouldn't understand you, but you're saying that the way that you're answering is not so different from the way that I'm asking.
Exactly. Even if you know the words, right, the order in which they come, the ways in which they combine are somewhat different. An English sentence like, John has written the letter would come out in Japanese, even forgetting about, what the words are, as, John the letter written has. Right. So the laws that tell you the order in which words come in English, they're different from the ones that govern Japanese, but it turns out that they differ in a very systematic way. So there are lots of variations in word order across languages, but there are lots of variations you don't get. Lots of kinds of languages you might imagine exist that don't exist.
So if you were to take that sentence and rearrange it in all the possible ways, only a small set of them are actually used anywhere.
Exactly right. Yeah, precisely.
But at some point in everybody's life, you don't have a language. You're learning these things for the first time. Is there something inherent there? Is that why we have similarities between all the languages, or do we even know?
Well, so on the one hand, it looks like all languages are similar, and so we speculate that that's because there's a kind of a master plan or blueprint for language that we all have. And then what we expect to find is that when you look at the process of language acquisition by children, by very young children, you expect to find signs of that blueprint. So you expect to find children acting as if they know things that they haven't actually been taught. They just know it because they're human beings, the way bees know how to behave when they find honey. And you expect that the kinds of evidence from the linguistic environment that children pay attention to will also be limited by the ways in which we know languages vary. And actual research into language acquisition by children has confirmed that. Children know things that there's no evidence for, and they also, interestingly, fail to learn things that there might be evidence for because it's not part of what they're equipped to learn as language learners, as human beings.
So if you look at someone's brain when they're learning language, when they're using language, can you see any of this?
Well, someday the answer might be yes. So, we are learning more and more about the ways in which language is computed in the brain every day. But the nitty-gritty of it still remains a mystery. So the kinds of things that linguists discover about the structure of languages, they're surely implemented in the brain the way we have, computer hardware that implements the software. But exactly how that's done, people in neurolinguistics, neuroscience that I talk to occasionally, they don't know yet. They don't have the answers to that yet.
But does it seem like the work that you do and the work that they do are moving toward the same goal?
They sort of have to, right? As to the extent to which we're discovering at an abstract level how languages are put together, and we know that it's the brain that computes that stuff, we have to be converging on that goal. When the convergence will happen, well, that's a mystery to me too.
Well, I think it's really exciting, and I appreciate you telling me about how it works.
I think it's very exciting too. Thank you very much.